Hi everybody, I'm Sam. Welcome to Mox Cube. Today we're going to be going over the updates for my cube for Ravnica Allegiance. I'm putting 21 cards in, 11 of which are coming out of Ravnica Allegiance. The rest are various other cards that some of which have been in the cube before and I pulled out for one reason or another. Some are going to be new in the cube for the first time, even though they're somewhat older cards. So we'll start with Termander. Termander is a creature that costs a single blue. It's a 1/1 flying. It has Adapt 4 for 7 and a blue. The ability costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. I almost didn't put this in because it needs an intensive instant and sorcery deck to make it good. Which is much better served in like Legacy or Modern or something. But I also have Delver of Secrets in the cube, and I think there are ways to manipulate, especially if you get Sensei's Defining Top for Delver, to justify being in there. And there's enough cantrips like Ponder, Brainstorm, Serum Visions, that kind of stuff, I think, and burn spells if you go to justify playing a instant and sorcery themed deck. So we're going to go ahead and give it a whirl, and I mean, at the very worst, it's a 1/1 flying for 1. 5 or 6 years ago, I used to have Flying Men in my cube, which was a 1/1 flyer for 1 with no special abilities. So we're going to give this one a go and see how it turns out. The next card, Sphinx of Foresight, 2 and double blue for a 4/4 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. It has an additional ability that you may reveal this card from your opening hand, and if you do, you get to scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep. So obviously the scry 3 at the beginning of the game seems really powerful. If it's in a draft deck, the odds are pretty good it could be in your opening hand, since you have a 40 card deck and your 7 of them are going to be in your opening hand, hopefully. So I feel like a 4/4 for 4 flyer is good enough on its own, especially one that lets you scry every turn. So I'm adding this one to the cube. Next card, Pestilent Spirit, costs 2 and a black for a 3/2 with Menace and Death Touch. Instant and sorcery spells you control have Death Touch. This card was a late add to the cube. I almost didn't, but I was pretty excited when I thought about it. The more I thought about it, because Menace and Death Touch, meaning if it's getting blocked, it's killing 2 creatures. And it doesn't matter how big they are. And then the additional ability of your spells having Death Touch is pretty cool, especially if you play Arc Lightning or something like that, where the damage gets divided and you can just ping things off with Death Touch damage. Just kind of seemed fun to me, so giving that one a whirl. Spawn of Mayhem is the next card. Costs 2 double black for a 4/4 flyer. Oh, another 4/4 flyer for 4. This one has an alternate cost, Spectacle, with 1 and double black. Spectacle is you can cast a spell for its spectacle cost if the opponent lost life this turn. So this has Flying and Trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, Spawn of Mayhem deals 1 damage to each player. And then if you have 10 or less life, put a +1/+1 counter on Spawn of Mayhem. So, slowly drains everybody down a little bit, and gets bigger the closer you are to dying, the bigger this creature gets, so hopefully you can kill your opponents faster. So, I like it. Seems like fun. It's kind of a new take on demons, so pretty excited to try that out. The next card was one I almost missed. And my friend Caleb was like, dude, this card is awesome. And so I looked into it, and Light Up the Stage. It costs 2 and a red. It's a sorcery. Spectacle cost, which we just went over what spectacle is, costs single red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. There's so many times where these, I don't know what to call this ability where red gets to exile cards and you play them. But there's a lot of times where you get a land and you've already played your land for turn. And you're like, oh, well, I should have waited to play my land. Obviously, if you're a better Magic player than me, you probably do it correctly. But this is a neat one because it allows you to play them until the end of your next turn. So if you do get a land out of it, you can still play it the following turn. But yeah, so card advantage in red is nice. Don't get a lot of that. So yeah, we'll try this out. I'm pretty excited to draft it and try it in a red deck. So this card, Enray's Forerunners. 5 triple green, 7/7, vigilance, trample, haste. When Enray's Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. So, yeah, Cliffrunner Behemoth is a thing, and this is kind of like that. So I figured, why not have a second Cliffrunner Behemoth? Seems okay to me. Plenty of ways to cheat it in. So yeah, try building a creature deck and running that thing. Okay, we got a split card. Revival Revenge. Revival cost hybrid black-white. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Revenge. And these are both sorceries, by the way. Revenge. 4 white-black. Double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life rounded up. Honestly, I didn't really put this in for the revenge part. I put it in for the revival part. Even though you can't resurrect a big fatty, I always liked bringing back things from the graveyard for cheap costs, and I would say the majority, more than 50%. So majority of creature cards in the cube cost 3 or less. So I just thought it'd be a nice addition. Gruul Spellbreaker cost 1 red and green. It's a creature. It's a 3/3. Has Riot. Riot in his ability where this creature enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. This has trample, and as long as it is your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have hexproof. So this is replacing Fanatic of Xenagos in my cube. It's essentially the same card, except with the upside of you choosing the +1/+1 counter or haste, as opposed to your opponent choosing whether or not it gets a counter. So yeah, I decided it was so close in abilities that it was worth replacing with this guy. Rhythm of the Wild. Another card that I almost didn't put in the cube, but I got to play with a few Ravnica Allegiance cards, and Riot was just so good, and I played against this one that I felt this had to go in. I better read this. 1 red green. Rhythm of the Wild is an enchantment. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. So basically everything comes in and either has haste or gets a +1/+1 counter, and you get to choose. So yeah, I played against this at FNM the other night, and it was pretty scary. I'm hoping it's just as scary in the cube. Prime Speaker Xanathar 2 green, blue, 2/4, legendary creature. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only time you can cast a sorcery. Sound familiar? It should, because it's Birthing Pod on a creature. So, pod decks getting a little boost. I'm looking forward to it. Growth Spiral. Beautiful, beautiful art. If you haven't seen this art, take a look at it. Because Seb McKinnon is awesome. So, Growth Spiral. Costs green, blue. It's an instant. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Nice little ramp spell. Draw cards. Sounds good. Okay, so that is it for the Ravnica Allegiance cards going in the cube. Here are cards that are going in the cube that are from older sets, many of which have been in the cube at one point or another, but some are new for the first time. So one coming back, Spectral Procession, cost the triple white, or you can pay 2 instead of any one of those whites. I guess they were called the mono hybrids back when they came out. Sorcery, put 3 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. So great card going in. Here's an interesting one. So I kind of got in this thing where I cut all the morph cards out of my cube because I just decided they weren't good enough. And then interestingly, I added into black a whole sacrifice theme last time I did an update. And so I added in Midnight Reaper from Guilds of Ravnica. And then I came across a card that used to be in my cube, Grim Haruspex, which is strictly better than Grim Reaper. So I'm like, well, I guess I should take Grim Reaper out and put Grim Haruspex back in. So Grim Haruspex, 2 and a black for a 3/2, has morph that costs 1 black, or single black. And whenever a non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. So has the morph benefit mystery, I guess, and doesn't deal damage to you when a creature dies to get that card like Midnight Reaper. So strictly better. It's going in this place. Decided to put more token cards in. So Hordling Outburst. It's a sorcery, 1 and double red. Put 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Very self-explanatory. Here's a card that somebody was begging me to put this in. I want to say it was Caleb also. This has not been in my cube yet, so this is new. Fiery Confluence, 2 double red, sorcery. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Fiery Confluence deals 1 damage to each creature. Fiery Confluence deals 2 damage to each opponent. Destroy target artifact. Pretty versatile. I'm excited to try it. I decided that green is getting more ramp in the cube. So, as you saw, I added in Growth Spiral. I'm also adding in Boreal Druid, which is probably the only 1-drop mana dork that's not in my cube. Not true. Elves of Deep Shadow is not in my cube, but it pings you, so that's why I didn't. Anyways, Boreal Druid, it just tapped for colorless, but it doesn't hurt you, so that's why it's going in. It's a 1/1 for single green, by the way. Should probably tell you that. Next, Scribe Ranger, 1 and a green for a 1/1 with flash, flying, protection from blue. Has an ability, return a forest you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Play this ability only once each turn. This used to be in the cube. It's going back in. I think it can have some fun uses, like untapping Raphaelos and getting a ton of mana out of him. So yeah, looking forward to trying that. Or maybe you want to untap your Prime Speaker Xanathar and use that ability again to get another creature. I don't know. Seems like a good plan. So next, Explore is going in the cube. I don't remember if I had this in before or not, but I'm putting Growth Spiral in, and it felt weird to have Growth Spiral in and not Explore. So Explore costs 1 and a green. You may play an additional land this turn, and you draw a card. So it's essentially Growth Spiral at sorcery speed, but it's mono green. So I guess that's the trade-off. Coming back, we have Sorin, Solemn Visitor, 2 white, black, +1 until your next turn. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink. -2, put a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying onto the battlefield. -6, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. Starting loyalty is 4. He was in. I think I took him out when I put Sorin Grim Nemesis in. Grim Nemesis is leaving, and this guy's coming back. Although I love Grim Nemesis, I have another special place for him. Here's a card I didn't really know existed until recently, because I haven't bought Commander products in a few years. But Mirren of Clan Neltoth, 2 black-green for a 3/4. It's a legendary creature. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it in your hand. So literally every turn, card advantage. You're either getting a creature card on, assuming you have creature cards in the graveyard, you're going to get a creature card either on the battlefield or in your hand. Seems really good. Looking forward to playing that one. Here's a card that should have never left the cube. I'm not sure why I took it out. Probably making space for something and had to make a tough call. Hard to tell. But Mind Stone. Mind Stone is going back in the cube as it should be. So Mind Stone costs 2. It's an artifact. Taps for colorless. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice Mind Stone, draw a card. That's going back in. So that concludes the update for Ravnica Allegiance. About 50% new, 50% old. I'm looking forward to trying out a whole bunch of these new cards, especially that demon. It looked kind of fun. So, yeah, I guess we'll see you for the next update whenever that is.